Are you ready for the CrossFit Open this year? We are literally 6 weeks away. Yep, I said it, 6 weeks away from the first workout being released on the 27th of February. So, jump into this video where I'm going to explain a little bit about what training should look like for the next 6 weeks and things we can work on to make sure we absolutely crush this year's Open. Let's get into it. Tip number 1. Let's get consistent with our training over the next 6 weeks. Christmas is long gone now, and it feels like that period is a little bit hit and miss for most people when training comes. So now we're back in January. Hopefully you've had a week back or two now back in the gym, but let's get some consistency in our training. Whatever you used to hit before Christmas, whether that's 1, 2, 3, 4 times a week, let's get back to a routine, hit those classes hard, and get some consistency back in our training. This is going to get us set up to having our heart rates elevated when it comes to workouts, and it's going to make sure that we're used to those movements again leading up to the Open. Tip number 2, make sure you nail the basics. And what I mean by that is the standards on movements, they are non-negotiable, so make sure they are up to standard, okay? So think of all those open workouts and all the things that we drill in classes. You know, on a wall ball, make sure hips below parallel, the ball hits above the line. Pretty easy, right? But in a class, standards can slip. Come the Open, there's no room for no reps. So make sure that the standards are adhered to. Also, focus on basic movements. You know, the CrossFit Open is meant to be accessible for everyone. And when you look back at what movements have come up in the past, things like burpees, double unders, deadlifts, they're all in there and they're fairly simple, basic movements, okay? So don't neglect those. And finally, pay attention to some of those things that you're doing in classes, such as EMOMs and AMRAPs. Try to understand your pacing strategy, okay? So when you're on EMOM and you're doing calories on a rower for a sustained period of time, understand where you can comfortably hold to make sure that it doesn't impact the next movement or the next exercise or whatever it might be. This is going to give you a really good opportunity to understand where you might be if this should come up in a workout. Tip number 3, make sure you're hitting gymnastics, strength and conditioning at least once per week. If you look back over the Opens in previous years, they've had gymnastics in, they've had some sort of strength element, and clearly they have an engine-based workout. So make sure you're hitting this stimulus at least once a week and try to aim for, you know, technically hard gymnastics for you, whatever that might be. And when it comes to strength, make sure you're trying to push those loads a little bit, not to the point of failure, but get comfortable under heavier loads, because it's likely that there could be heavier bars or max lifts or anything like that that might come up this year. It will just get you familiar with those sort of weights and movements heading into the Open. And make sure you're putting some hard efforts in your conditioning pieces. You know, it's very easy to go to class and just go through the motions, but come the Open, you'll want to put in some hard efforts. So getting used to having a very high heart rate for certain periods of time and sustained efforts is going to really put you in a good position when it comes to the Open. Tip number 4, make sure you practice Open specific movements. Last year, I did a video on kind of the most popular movements in the CrossFit Open, which was published by the Morning Chalk Up. They gave a great breakdown pretty much from 2011 to present day, which was last year, 2023, of all the movements and ranked them in order of how many times they've come up from the top to the bottom. I did a video on this. I'll link it above so you can go and check that out. But there were common movements such as thrusters, double unders, and even things like wall walks have come up in previous years. These are all things that you could practice specifically, especially if they've pulled you up in previous years. You know, double unders for many can be the stop point in a workout and can be very frustrating. If that's one of the things that's held you back in previous years, we've got 6 weeks to do some work. So let's get busy at trying to nail those skills. And what I would suggest is maybe prioritize some time over the next 6 weeks, either before or after a class, maybe once, twice per week, to really work on those things that we need to work on. You'll be surprised at how much better we can get over the course of the next 6 weeks if we just put a little bit of time towards them. What you don't want to do is hit the Open and the first week double unders come up and you haven't practiced them because you have a love-hate relationship with them, and they will hold you back again in another open workout. We've got 6 weeks essentially to iron out the creases, to be in our best shape possible and in a very good position to crush this workout. So let's get nailing those skills and really improve on open scores this year by doing so. Also, things like wall walks, when they first came out, they did hold a lot of people back. It was a fairly new movement. Now they're more regular in classes, but if you haven't hit them or they were something that you struggled with in previous years, again, it's now a great time to have a look at them again, make sure you're happy with technique. The standard, that was a challenge for some people to get close to the wall and understand how many you can do in a certain time frame. So make sure you nail them over the next 6 weeks, and I'm sure you'll improve massively come the Open. Tip number 5, make sure you test yourself each week. And I would suggest, like I said in the conditioning piece earlier on, make sure you're trying to repeat an open workout maybe once per week. Even if you don't give it full 10 out of 10, make sure you do try and hit with some level of intent. Get used to movements with a high heart rate. Try and see if you can beat previous scores. So if you've got any feedback from last time, whether it be what the score was you had, or you filmed the workout, review it, understand what went well, what you'd want to do again, what didn't go so well, and things you would want to change if you tried that workout. See if you can beat it. If you don't, that's not a problem, because we've got 6 weeks to iron out the creases to understand, okay, what will we do differently? Open workouts are often repeated, so you'll never know this year. You might even see one of those workouts that you repeated recently. Certainly in classes, we're seeing more open style workouts come up, maybe some simple movements. We did one the other day, which was just clean and jerks and burpees. Very simple movements, very simple yet effective style, and there's nowhere to hide when that sort of workout comes out. It's a really good opportunity to remind yourself of the sort of stimulus that the Open will be bringing and where you will be able to play your strongest if these workouts come out again. Number 6, and sometimes often missed by us CrossFitters, we just think we can go pedal to the metal all the time, but try to prioritize nutrition and sleep. Over the next 6 weeks, I'm sure workouts are going to get a little tougher in your gyms, in your boxes. So make sure you're resting and recovering as much as you can. So, 7 to 9 hours sleep per night, make sure you're trying to hit that. Make sure you're hitting your nutritional needs. Make sure you're getting enough protein, because this is going to help you recover, help you train hard, because without that piece, you can train as hard as you want, but you're going to hit a brick wall eventually when you have pushed it too hard and you haven't been able to recover from it. So make sure you dial in nutrition and your sleep over the next 6 weeks. And I'm sure if you only did that, you would see a massive improvement in your performance. It's certainly something I need to nail, and something I'm going to be looking at this year to try and improve. Do less, achieve more. Who would have figured? Tip number 7, try to build your mental game over the next 6 weeks. What I mean by that is the Open is a very mental thing, in terms of sometimes a workout could go good or bad, but how you respond to that is down to you. So try to stay calm under pressure. Maybe try to push workouts a little bit over the next 6 weeks. And when things don't necessarily go right, because they don't always do, try to stay calm. Try to adapt and improvise in the situation as opposed to get frustrated. For argument's sake, say double unders. If double unders in a workout and you keep tripping, it's very easy to get frustrated, causing you to trip even more. Try to stay calm. It happens to the best of us, but that's a good example of being able to improvise and adapt. Get used to that, because in the Open, you never know, a curveball might throw up. You might hit a barbell that's a bit too heavy for you, or double unders again might come up, and it's been a bane of your life since you've been trying to do CrossFit. But there's nothing we can do about it except from control the way we respond. Try to have a strategy and visualize how that workout's going to go. Over the next few weeks, when you go into a workout, try to think about how you're going to pace it, what the strategy is, how you're going to break things up. Again, when you come to the Open, you're going to have to think about these things. Sometimes by going slower at the beginning gives you the opportunity to go faster at the end. So try to think about that, play with it over the next few weeks, and see how you get on. But finally, make sure you celebrate the wins over the next 6 weeks. I'm sure we'll all be working really hard between now and the Open to make sure we're in our best position possible, working on things like strength in gymnastics or conditioning or whatever it might be. Whatever those wins are, no matter how small, make sure you celebrate them, because that will give you the confidence going into the Open to believe in your ability. We are all on our own fitness journey, and the Open at the end of the day is just free workouts, but there is a lot of pressure we put on ourselves to do really well. So just make sure we have fun. Well, guys, that's my top tips. The next 6 weeks will give us time to focus and prepare for the CrossFit Open. Make sure you stay consistent, and remember, it's not all about the leaderboard, okay? It's about us becoming better athletes and seeing how we compare to ourselves maybe 12 months ago when we were last in the Open. Seeing how far we've come on our journey with the things we have achieved over the last period. Make sure if you are doing the Open, let me know what your goals are this year, as I'd love to hear them. So whether it's your first bar muscle up if it comes up, or your first double unders, the Open brings out the best in a lot of us, and nailing things for the first time is often achievable in an event or a atmosphere that the Open brings, okay? So make sure you let me know. If you are new to this channel, you subscribe because I'll be doing more content like this in the lead up to the Open. Thanks for watching, guys, and as always, I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.